Hello, everybody. This is Captain Dennis with SQUALUSmarine.com. And we've been doing a bit of reflecting because last year the boat was broken and we haven't had the opportunity to do a lot of dives. So we're going back to where it all started at the Penfield Wreck. That was the first video we ever did. And we're going to go back about 11 years later with new cameras and new technology. We'll see how we do. Oh, look, it's raining. So we're headed out there to Penfield Lighthouse. And there's a spot where a lot of divers go to for the certification. And again, like I said, we went here about 11 years ago. It's not a very deep dive. It's about 25 feet deep, and it's got a nice hard bottom. You can see that there's not a lot of silt, which makes this a pretty good spot to start diving. Here you can see this crazy cable. And this is a cable that used to power Penfield Lighthouse. And it runs from the lighthouse all the way down into the channel. It's not really used anymore. Most of the, this is what legend says, is that it used to power the lighthouse. You can see that there's areas that the insulation is worn away, and it's kind of like another set of cables kind of woven inside. And that's a hot mess, but there's a lot of these cables, and they really fetch up the anchors. So sometimes if you come down here, you just follow it and you can find a fair amount of anchors. But we just found fishing lures. So we still have this. So if this is yours, info@squalusmarine.com. Then we saw this other little shiny thing. This fish was checking it out. And I first saw it and thought it was like a bluefish lure. But as you can see, it's a knife, a knife. Clean that up a little bit. Probably still be able to use it. And of course, the first thing I have to do with it is this. Little sea hunt going on. So we're going to keep moving along, see what we can find down here. So here we got an old tire, a pretty big one. It's like a truck tire, I think. Maybe the guys over at DeSanti can order us 3 more and we can have a set. So we cleaned it up a little bit. It says Kelly Springfield. Here we have the wreck, which it's not very big. There's not a lot left. So we're on one side, and we're going to move towards the south. Got some ropes tied in it. A lot of other local divers use this as a place. They have a mooring tied up so that they don't have to drop an anchor. They just hook up and go down right to the wreck. But it looks like the buoy's been cut or something. But the fish like it. Here's again that line that's more than likely what the mooring was attached to. And here we are on the top, just hanging out with the burgals. It's your moment of zen. So now we're going to check the other side. And we got Mr. Horseshoe Crab just hanging out. And some smaller fish. And I started to see larger fish, but they were tough to get on camera because they tend to stay just outside of the camera's ability to see. So they're like maybe about 6 or 8 feet away from me. They don't like the bubbles. So we leave the wreck, and there's some large rocks down here, boulders. And we saw this, so we figured we'd take a peek. A lot of bricks are all over the bottom of the sound. Some of them were used to weight down lobster traps, and then the traps rot away or they break apart. And you'll find these bricks all over the place. And some of them are embossed. And this one was as well. So we decided to clean it off. And it says Santoro? Sangoro? Samboro? I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. So we tried a maneuver that we do sometimes where we leave the camera alone and we get away from it. And sometimes we get good stuff like this. So Mr. Porgy was, like I said, hanging on the outside of where I could see. But we were able to leave the camera down by the anchor and kind of finesse them in front of the camera. And this is kind of what it's like down there if you're with me. And I think these guys like to hang around because I kick up the sediment and they like to eat what's getting kicked up. Either that or they're wondering what the big marine mammal was doing down here, namely me. These guys are pretty cool. And they're real hams for the camera. These are the largest porgies I've seen around underwater in July. They normally get a lot bigger later in the season, or at least that's been my experience, but I'm not a fisherman. But they were just checking out all the debris that I was kicking up and probably making sure my anchor was stuck, which I appreciate their help with that. And you can see they're kind of hard to film while you're moving. They kind of just hang just outside. And if you turn your lights on, they shine pretty nice. So the anchor's hooking. We're just about ready to head on up. Another porgy checking it out for us. And you can see with the lights on, they shine pretty good. So we'd like to thank you for sticking with us and coming back to where it all started on the Penfield Wreck. We're going to make our way back up to the top. If you like our videos, you like seeing this type of content, feel free to share and subscribe. Get your friends to subscribe. We live for likes and shares. So until next time, I'm Captain Dennis.